Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of high-stakes car repair
Yeah,
with a YouTube twist.
sounds fun.
You know, we always like to find interesting things, and this one, a viewer actually sent this in to us,
Okay.
where a guy buys a wrecked Porsche 911 GT3,
Wow.
claims it's the cheapest in the world,
Really?
and then he's going to try to rebuild it in just 24 hours.
It's crazy.
So buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride.
It's certainly ambitious, to say the least.
Yeah.
Rebuilding a car of that caliber, even with a team, is a complex undertaking. There's so many different things to think about, like the extent of the damage and then just sourcing all the parts.
Right.
And then on top of all that, you have this crazy time constraint.
No kidding. And this isn't just any 911.
Right.
This is a 2022 992 GT3,
Oh, wow.
which is a track-focused beast.
Yeah.
You know, the YouTuber Mat Armstrong, he's no stranger to these cars.
Okay.
He actually bought and rebuilt a GT3 before this one,
Interesting.
but had to sell it because importing it back to the UK was too expensive.
I see. So that makes this new project even more interesting. It seems like he's doubling down on his passion. What condition was this cheapest in the world GT3 in when he got his hands on it?
So from the outside, the damage looked surprisingly minimal.
Okay.
The rear end was missing,
Oh.
which is never a good sign.
No.
But the interior seemed pretty intact, including the roll cage.
Okay.
No deployed airbags either.
Wow.
And he even scored this one with the PDK transmission,
Nice.
which for those who don't know stands for Porsche Doppelkupplung.
That's a mouthful.
It is. It's a long one.
Yeah.
But basically it's a lightning fast, dual clutch, automatic gearbox
Right.
that shifts gears quicker than you can blink.
Wow.
It's perfect for a performance car like the GT3.
Yeah. It sounds like he found a diamond in the rough, at least at first glance.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a closer inspection revealed some hidden surprises.
Oh, yeah.
After all, a 911 GT3 is a complex machine.
Absolutely. The deeper they dug, the more issues they uncovered.
I see.
Curved wheel,
Okay.
damage to the front subframe. The list kept growing.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what kind of impact those seemingly minor damages have on a car that's built for such precision and performance. Have you ever faced a similar situation where, like, a seemingly small issue turned out to be way more complicated?
All the time, right?
It's a reminder that with complex systems, everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is that despite the growing list of problems, Matt set a 24-hour deadline to rebuild this car and make it drivable.
Talk about pressure.
I know.
I can't even imagine.
Like, just the scramble for parts, let alone the actual rebuild in that time frame.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's a good thing he had a bit of a head start, though.
Oh, okay.
He had already ordered some parts from Porsche, including a new bonnet.
Smart.
Plus, he had a clever strategy to save time,
Okay. I'm listening.
wrapping the car in satin black instead of repainting it.
That's a smart move.
Yeah,
Wrapping is significantly faster than a full repaint, especially on a tight schedule.
absolutely.
It makes you appreciate the strategic thinking that goes into a project like this.
For sure.
Did he have a team to help him pull this off?
Oh, he definitely didn't go it alone.
Okay, good.
His father, Tony, was a crucial part of the team,
All right.
sourcing parts and assisting with the rebuild.
That's awesome.
They also had a crew of helpers, Liam, Chris, and their cameraman, Matt.
That's quite the support system. Sourcing parts for a 992 GT3, especially on short notice,
Right.
must have been a challenge. Those aren't exactly sitting on shelves at your local auto parts store.
You know, that's where Tony really stepped up.
Okay.
He managed to procure a van full of new parts from Porsche,
Wow.
which is impressive considering how scarce parts for this model are.
Absolutely.
They even found a new lightweight magnesium wheel, which set them back a cool 22,000 pounds.
Wow. That's a hefty price tag for a single wheel. It really highlights the cost of performance.
Yeah, for sure.
This begs the question, what are the trade-offs between cost and performance when it comes to specialized parts like that?
It's definitely something to think about, especially if you're considering buying a high-performance car. It's not just the initial purchase price. Right.
It's the ongoing maintenance and repair costs that can really add up.
For sure, for sure.
In the meantime, they weren't just sitting around waiting for new parts.
Right.
They sent the damaged wheels off to Wheelmania to be refurbished in a champagne color.
Champagne-colored wheels on a satin black GT3. That's going to be a striking combination. It sounds like the visual aesthetic of this project is as ambitious as the 24-hour deadline.
It definitely is. But back at the garage, the real work was just beginning. The front radiator was completely trashed
Oh, no.
and needed to be replaced. And then there was the damaged subframe.
Ah, yes, the subframe. That's a crucial part of the car's structure, especially for a performance model like the GT3. Did they have to replace the entire subframe? That could have been a major setback in terms of time.
So they got incredibly lucky.
Okay.
The front subframe was damaged, but the main subframe underneath was intact,
Oh, wow.
which saved them a huge amount of time and money.
Absolutely. Imagine if they had to source and install that entire piece.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a stroke of luck.
Yeah, for sure. Even replacing just the front subframe is a significant undertaking. It really highlights the importance of a thorough damage assessment before diving into a project like this.
Absolutely. And speaking of diving in, let's talk about the bodywork.
Okay.
They meticulously wrapped and installed every panel,
Wow.
doors, wings, bumpers, the whole 9 yards.
Every single one.
And get this, the new bonnet they thought was painted
Huh?
actually had exposed carbon fiber underneath.
That's a nice surprise.
Hmm?
Exposed carbon fiber definitely adds to the car's sporty appeal and lightweight design philosophy. It's interesting to see how a project like this can uncover unexpected details. It reminds me of those home renovation shows where they find hidden treasures behind the walls.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a treasure hunt.
Uh,
And speaking of intricate details,
okay.
they even had to swap the fans and actuators from the old headlights to the new ones
Wow.
to make sure everything worked properly.
That level of detail is incredible. It shows the complexity of these high-performance machines. Every component has a specific purpose, and even seemingly minor parts can play a crucial role. It makes you appreciate the engineering that goes into a car like this.
It really does.
Oh,
And the rear bumper assembly was another puzzle.
okay.
It was missing several components, but they managed to piece together what they had, which really highlights the modular design of the car.
Modular design is a lifesaver in situations like this.
Oh, yeah.
It allows for easier repairs and replacements.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked on a project where modularity made a difference?
Actually, yes. I was putting together a modular bookshelf recently,
Oh, nice.
and it was so much easier to manage than a traditional one,
Oh, for
so
sure.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder why certain parts were missing in the first place. You know, they were missing things like the rear under tray and the grille,
Right.
which led Matt to theorize that the car had been partially disassembled by an insurance company before being written off.
That's an interesting theory. It's not uncommon for insurance companies to salvage usable parts from cars before they're declared a total loss.
Right.
It helps to recoup some of their costs and reduces waste.
Yeah.
But for Matt and his team, it meant having to track down every missing nut and bolt.
And they did.
Wow.
They replaced everything from the bonnet hinges to the crash sensors. Nothing was overlooked. Even the ducktail spoiler, which helps channel air into the engine, was carefully assembled and wrapped.
That meticulous attention to detail is impressive, especially under a 24-hour deadline. They were really committed to getting every aspect of the rebuild, right?
Absolutely. They even took special care when filling the cooling system after replacing the radiator.
Oh, yeah.
They used a vacuum filling technique to make sure there were no air bubbles, which could lead to overheating and engine damage.
That's a crucial step, especially after working on the cooling system. It's like giving the car a high-tech blood transfusion to make sure everything flows smoothly. It's clear they weren't cutting corners even with time ticking away.
They were pushing hard right up to the deadline. But as you can imagine, time was not on their side.
So did they manage to pull it off? Did they beat the clock and complete the rebuild within the 24 hours?
Well, despite their Herculean efforts, they fell a bit short of the 24-hour goal.
I can only imagine the exhaustion after such an intense push.
Yeah.
It must have been disappointing to miss the deadline,
Right.
especially for someone as driven as Matt seems to be.
You would think, right, but Matt actually seemed pretty satisfied with the progress they made. I think he understood the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Rebuilding a supercar in 24 hours
Right.
is an insanely ambitious goal.
That's a good point. Sometimes the journey itself is as valuable as reaching the destination,
Mm.
especially when you're learning and pushing your limits along the way.
Mm-hmm.
What was the car looking like at the end of the 24 hours?
Even in its unfinished state, the car looked incredible.
Okay.
The stealthy satin black wrap,
All right.
combined with those champagne-colored wheels,
Yeah.
was a real head-turner.
I bet.
It was a total transformation from the wrecked shell they started with.
That visual transformation is a powerful reminder that even from chaos, something beautiful can emerge. It speaks to the resilience of both machines and the people who work on them.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the stories this car will tell.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine someone spotting this GT3 out on the road and wondering about its past life.
Right.
It's a car that's been through a lot, but it's come out on the other side stronger and even more unique.
I love that. It's like a badge of honor, a testament to its journey. Speaking of the car's journey, they had to replace the entire front radiator, right?
Right.
That must have been a critical part of getting the car back to running condition.
Yeah, the old radiator was completely destroyed, and the new one was just one piece of the puzzle. Remember how they had to transfer the fans and actuators from the old headlights to the new ones?
Yeah.
That level of detail is amazing to me.
It's a great example of how even the smallest parts can be crucial in a high-performance car. They all work together in harmony to create the overall driving experience.
Right.
It's like an orchestra with every instrument playing its part to create a symphony of speed and precision.
I love that analogy.
I try.
And it makes you appreciate the expertise required to work on these cars.
Yep.
It's not just about brute force, it's about understanding the nuances of each component and how they interact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of expertise, remember how Matt mentioned that 992 GT3 parts are incredibly scarce?
Yeah.
That must have added another layer of complexity to this project.
Oh, definitely. Sourcing those parts, especially under such a tight deadline, was no easy feat.
Right.
They were constantly on the phone, scouring the internet, and even calling in favors to find what they needed.
It shows the dedication and resourcefulness required to pull off a project like this. It's not for the faint of heart.
And it makes you wonder, how does the scarcity of parts impact the economics of supercar repair?
That's a great question. Scarcity drives up prices, of course,
Yeah.
but it also creates a unique market for salvaged and refurbished parts. It's a bit like the world of vintage watches
Oh, okay.
or rare antiques, where finding that one missing piece can make all the difference.
And speaking of missing pieces, their theory about the insurance company stripping parts before writing off the car is really intriguing. What factors do insurance companies consider when making those write-off decisions?
Well, it's a balancing act between the cost of repairs and the car's market value.
Hmm.
They also take into account things like the availability of parts labor costs and the potential for hidden damage. Sometimes even seemingly minor damage can result in a write-off if the repair costs exceed a certain threshold.
So even though it might seem counterintuitive, sometimes it's more cost-effective for an insurance company to write off a car and salvage the parts than to repair it.
Exactly. And that's how cars like this GT3 end up in salvage auctions, giving enthusiasts like Matt the opportunity to bring them back to life.
It's a fascinating cycle.
It is.
And it makes you wonder about the ethical considerations of those practices.
There's definitely a lot to consider, especially regarding sustainability and minimizing waste. It's a topic for a whole other deep dive. But for now, let's get back to Matt's GT3. Despite falling short of the 24-hour deadline, what was their total cost for the project?
Believe it or not, the total cost, including the purchase price and all the repairs, came to $143,491
That's significantly less than buying a new GT3. It's a testament to Matt's resourcefulness and his ability to make the most of salvaged parts and his own skills.
Right. He took a car that some might have considered a lost cause and turned it into a potential masterpiece.
It's a reminder that value can be found in unexpected places. It's not always about the sticker price. Sometimes it's about the sweat equity, the passion, and the story behind the object.
And speaking of the story, they didn't quite finish the car, did they? What was still left on their to-do list?
Ah, yes, the unfinished business. What were those final touches that needed attention?
Well, even though the car was looking pretty amazing, it wasn't quite ready to hit the track just yet.
Oh, really?
There were still a few minor things to address.
So what were those finishing touches? What was left on Matt's to-do list for this almost rebuilt GT3?
They still needed to pull out a dent in a chassis component, which Matt decided to repair rather than replace.
Okay.
He also wanted to add a carbon fiber wing
Nice.
and install a missing front bumper grille.
I'm curious about his decision to repair that dent rather than just replacing the part.
Yeah.
It seems like replacing it would have been quicker and maybe even easier,
Right.
especially with their self-imposed time crunch.
I think it speaks to his desire to preserve the car's history.
Oh,
It's like those Japanese pottery pieces where the cracks and imperfections are part of their beauty and story.
I see.
He's embracing those battle scars as part of the car's unique identity.
It's a fascinating perspective. It suggests that value isn't always about perfection or pristine condition.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about the journey, the imperfections, and the stories those things tell.
It reminds me of those vintage car collectors who go to great lengths to preserve the original patina on their vehicles.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the car's authenticity and its life experiences.
Absolutely. And in a world where everything is often mass-produced and homogenized, those unique imperfections become even more valuable.
Yeah.
It's like a fingerprint, something that sets this particular GT3 apart from every other one out there.
It makes you wonder what other kinds of value we might be overlooking in our own lives.
Right.
Are we too quick to discard things that aren't perfect?
That's a good point.
Are we missing out on the beauty of imperfection?
Those are great questions. It challenges us to rethink our definition of value and appreciate the stories that objects carry with them.
This whole deep dive has been full of unexpected insights. Who would
Yes.
have thought that a YouTube video about a wrecked Porsche could spark such a wide-ranging conversation?
It's a testament to the power of curiosity and the willingness to explore beyond the surface.
Yeah.
And speaking of exploring, I think there's one more interesting aspect of this project we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What have we missed?
Throughout this whole rebuild process, we've seen Matt working alongside his father friends and even a Porsche employee who volunteered his time.
Right.
It highlights the social aspect of this whole endeavor.
Yeah.
It's not just about the car. It's about the shared passion, the camaraderie, and the bonds that are formed through these kinds of projects.
That's so true. It's like a community coming together around a shared love of cars and the challenge of bringing this GT3 back to life.
It reminds us that even in today's digital age where we can often feel isolated, there's still a fundamental human need for connection and shared experiences.
Absolutely. And sometimes those connections are forged through grease-stained hands and the satisfaction of conquering a seemingly impossible challenge.
Well said. This whole deep dive has been a fascinating journey full of twists and turns, just like Matt's 24-hour rebuild attempt.
And just like any good road trip, it's left us with more to think about than where we started.
So to our listener, we leave you with this. What seemingly simple things in your life hold hidden depths of value, connection, or meaning? We encourage you to take a closer look and see what you discover.
And until next time, remember, every deep dive is a chance to uncover something new, whether it's about the world or ourselves. Keep exploring.